What if Anakin didn't become Darth Vader? What would happen then? Let's find out. So in this alternate timeline, Anakin Skywalker attained the rank of Jedi Master during the Clone Wars. This promotion granted him access to the restricted section of the Jedi Temple archives, and because of this change, after experiencing visions of Padme's death, he sought knowledge in these archives to save her, ultimately avoiding Sidious's manipulation that occurred in the original timeline. And so Sidious, unable to turn Anakin, invited Mace Windu to a meeting, revealed himself as Darth Sidious, and goaded Windu into attacking. This triggered Order 66. The Jedi Temple's shields held off clone attacks for weeks, allowing some Jedi and younglings to escape. Eventually, the temple fell. Many Jedi were killed, while some, including Anakin, were captured and taken to Tantus for Palpatine's midi-chlorian research. The Empire announced that all Jedi, including Anakin, had been killed. However, Padme, suspicious of the official story, began investigating. This became a problem for Palpatine, but he found a solution quickly. When Padme gave birth to twins Luke and Leia in a hospital on Naboo, Palpatine seized this opportunity. The Sith Lord secretly had the newborns taken. He then orchestrated a massive explosion at the hospital, killing Padme and most of her family. The incident was covered up as a rogue separatist attack. Meanwhile, as for Anakin, Palpatine had him placed in stasis, planning to use Sith essence transfer to inhabit his body. A year later, Clone Force 99 attacked Tantus, during which Anakin was awakened from stasis when the power to his chamber failed. He then managed to escape Mount Tantus, along with a heavily experimented upon Ahsoka, by commandeering an Imperial shuttle. Once in space, he accessed the holonet from the shuttle and learned of Padme's death. The official report, carefully crafted, stated that Padme and her unborn child had perished, leaving Anakin oblivious to his children's survival. A short while later, upon Ahsoka's suggestion, Anakin then contacted Bail Organa for help. Responding to their call, Bail arrived with the Tantive 3 and transported them to Polis Massa. During their journey, Bail had already begun filling them in on recent events, and after arriving at the safety of the asteroid base, he continued his somber report. Anakin, looking much the same as he had before his capture, listened intently. Compared to Anakin, Ahsoka's appearance was drastically altered. Her once vibrant eyes were now cybernetic with unsettling white pupils, her severed leku a reminder of the trauma she'd endured. After looking at them both for a short moment, Bail recounted the major events. The Empire's grip on the galaxy has tightened considerably, Bail began. Palpatine, now self-proclaimed Emperor, has consolidated his power through fear and military might. The Senate still exists, but it's largely a figurehead, with Palpatine holding supreme executive power. He continued, detailing key events. The Jedi Order was officially outlawed, branded as traitors to the Empire. The Jedi Temple on Coruscant was converted into the Imperial Palace, Palpatine's official residence. The Inquisitorius program was initiated, training Force-sensitive individuals to hunt down surviving Jedi. Several alien species, including Wookiees, were enslaved for Imperial labor projects. Despite these dark times, there are those of us who haven't given up. Mon Mothma, myself, and a few other senators are doing what we can to fight back. We're supporting resistance movements across the galaxy, providing resources and intelligence whenever possible. Anakin leaned forward, his interest piqued. Resistance movements? He asked. There are several, but one of the most notable is led by someone you both know, Saw Gerrera. Ahsoka's cybernetic eyes widened at the mention of the familiar name. Bail continued. Saw's group is particularly active on Onderon and a few surrounding systems. Saw's methods are extreme, but effective. He's become a symbol of rebellion for many. Anakin turned to Ahsoka, recalling their shared history with Gerrera. We trained him, didn't we? Back on Onderon during the Clone Wars. Ahsoka nodded. Yes, he was always passionate, driven. I'm not surprised he's leading a resistance, Ahsoka finished. Bail then added the following. Saw's group is just one of many. There are cells forming on various worlds. Lothal, Ryloth, Mon Cala. They're not united yet, but the seeds of a larger rebellion are being planted. Ahsoka spoke up. We should meet with Saw as soon as possible. If he's fighting the Empire, that's where we need to be. Anakin, however, looked conflicted. Maybe I could take out the Emperor myself. With a lightsaber, I could... Bail interjected before Anakin could finish. Anakin, I can only imagine how you must feel. Your desire to confront Palpatine directly is understandable, but please, let me explain why that would be incredibly dangerous, even for someone of your abilities. Palpatine's security is unlike anything we've ever seen. Coruscant, now called Imperial Center, has become a fortress world. The entire planet is patrolled by Star Destroyers and TIE fighters. Orbital platforms bristle with turbo lasers. On the surface, stormtroopers and security droids are everywhere. The Imperial Palace, your former Jedi temple, is now the most heavily guarded structure in the galaxy. It's surrounded by a vast security perimeter. Inside, it's crawling with royal guards, elite stormtroopers, and who knows what else. But the most challenging part is Palpatine himself. He rarely appears in public anymore, not even in the Senate. When he does, it's always a carefully orchestrated event with layers upon layers of security. Bail looked Anakin in the eye. I know you're incredibly skilled, but this isn't a matter of personal power. The sheer scale of the security apparatus makes a direct assault virtually impossible. We need you alive, Anakin. Your knowledge, your skills, they're invaluable to the Resistance. We can't risk losing you on what's essentially a one-way ticket to oblivion. Bail then paused, glanced between Anakin and Ahsoka, and spoke again. Joining Saw, at least for now, could give us time to gather intelligence and plan something more strategic. What do you think? Anakin stood abruptly, his frustration palpable. He strode to the window, gazing out at the asteroid field surrounding Polis Massa and into the vast, pitch-black space beyond. His reflection, ghostly and translucent, seemed to merge with the darkness outside. For a long moment he stood there in silence, his back to Bail and Ahsoka. They watched him, concern etched on their faces, waiting for his response. Finally, Anakin's shoulders slumped slightly. Without turning around, he spoke. You're right, both of you. As much as I hate to admit it, a direct assault would be foolish. He paused, his voice growing bitter. Isn't that what destroyed the Order? Rushing in unprepared against an enemy we didn't understand? He turned back to face them, his eyes still burning with intensity. Fine, we'll do it your way. We'll meet with Saw, join his resistance. But I want it clear, this is just the beginning. We're not hiding. We're not running. We're going to build something that can truly challenge the Empire. Bail nodded, his expression thoughtful. I'll use some of my contacts to locate Saw. It shouldn't take long to get a lead on his whereabouts. In the meantime, Ahsoka, you need to rest and recover. The medical facilities here are excellent. Ahsoka's gaunt frame tensed as she opened her mouth to protest, but Anakin cut her off gently. Ahsoka, Anakin said. Bail's right. You've been through more than any of us can imagine. His eyes lingered on her altered appearance, a flicker of guilt crossing his face. For now, you need to recuperate. Let the medical droids help you. Anakin continued. Once Bail tracks down Saw, I'll go meet him. I'll assess the situation, see if we can help each other. We need to know what we're getting into before we commit fully. Anakin looked at Bail as he finished speaking. Bail nodded and said, that's a wise approach. I'll arrange for secure transport once we have Saw's location. Anakin turned back to the window, his reflection now more resolute than conflicted. We'll build our strength, gather allies, and when the time is right, we'll strike back at the Empire for all they've taken from us. Over the 2 standard weeks that followed, the sterile lights of Polis Massa's medical facility became a constant backdrop to their planning. And as the chrono ticked past the 2nd standard week since Anakin and Ahsoka's arrival on Polis Massa, Bail Organa's discreet inquiries finally bore fruit. A few encrypted communications with Mon Mothma, and suddenly a meeting was arranged with Saw on Onderon. Of course, Saw was not told it was Anakin Skywalker coming to meet him, just that it was someone with information valuable to him. Before departing for Onderon, Anakin spoke with Ahsoka, informing her of the developments. I should be there, Ahsoka insisted, her voice stronger than before. Anakin shook his head, his newly grown beard and dyed hair rendering him almost unrecognizable. Not yet. You need more time. I'll assess the situation with Saw and see where that leads us. As the conversation wound down, Anakin gave Ahsoka's shoulder a gentle squeeze before departing for the hangar. Bail had arranged a nondescript YT-2400 light freighter for the mission. Its worn exterior belied the state-of-the-art systems hidden beneath, including upgraded shields, weapons, and a Class 0.5 hyperdrive. The ship, ironically named Imperial Dream, was perfect for maintaining Anakin's cover as a spacer named Rick Drayson. A refurbished R3 unit, designated R3S6, waited by the ship's boarding ramp. Anakin boarded the ship, running through the pre-flight checklist. His new identity was ironclad. Forged Imperial documents identified him as a mid-level shipping contractor with a minor criminal record, just enough to explain his familiarity with the galaxy's seedier elements. The worn spacer's outfit he wore completed the disguise, with his lightsaber cleverly concealed within a modified blaster holster. Bail had procured the lightsaber through discreet channels, tapping into the underground network of artifact collectors and black market dealers. Such items were incredibly rare and dangerous to possess under Imperial rule, but a few still circulated among those with the right connections and credits. This particular saber had reportedly come from a cache discovered in an abandoned Jedi outpost on a remote Outer Rim world. Anakin had examined the lightsaber earlier. When he had first ignited the blade, he immediately noticed the difference from his old weapon. The hilt was shorter than he was accustomed to, clearly designed for someone of smaller stature. The balance had fell slightly off in his hand, and the grip was worn in places that didn't quite align with his own. Despite these imperfections, Anakin had sensed the weapon's quality. The crystal within hummed with a familiar energy, and the blade's deep blue color brought a flood of memories he quickly suppressed. It wasn't ideal, but given the circumstances of his mission, it would serve its purpose. Now, as he boarded the ship, the saber was securely hidden in its modified blaster holster, ready if needed, but hopefully unnecessary for the duration of his mission. As the ship lifted off from Polis Mass's hangar, Anakin input the coordinates for Onderon. The stars stretched into lines as the ship jumped to hyperspace, carrying him towards an uncertain reunion and the first step in his fight against the Empire. As the YT-2400 dropped out of hyperspace, Onderon's blue-green sphere filled the view screen. Anakin's hands moved deftly across the controls, guiding the ship towards the coordinates R3S6 had provided. The freighter pierced the exosphere, the tenuous outer layer of the atmosphere barely registering on the ship's sensors. As they descended through the thermosphere, a faint glow appeared around the ship's hull, the first hints of atmospheric friction. Plunging deeper, they entered the mesosphere. The ship's external temperature sensors began to climb as they encountered denser air. The vast curve of the planet's limb started to flatten out, Onderon's horizon stretching wider. Anakin adjusted the ship's angle of descent as they hit the stratosphere. The last rays of Japrel, Onderon's sun, glinted off the hull as they passed through a layer of high-altitude clouds. For a moment, the cockpit was bathed in golden light. That light vanished abruptly as they plunged into the troposphere. Darkness enveloped the ship, broken only by flashes of lightning within the storm clouds. Rain began to lash against the view screen, growing heavier with each passing second. R3S6 beeped urgently, projecting a holographic map of the terrain below. Anakin nodded, making minute adjustments to their course. The ship bucked and shuddered in the turbulent air, but Anakin's expert touch kept them steady. Finally, a break in the clouds revealed a vast expanse of jungle below. Anakin spotted a small clearing and brought the ship down for a smooth landing, despite the howling wind and sheets of rain. As the engines powered down, Anakin donned a weatherproof cloak. He turned to R3S6. "Stay with the ship. Keep the engines warm in case we need a quick exit." In response, the droid whistled an affirmative, then projected a small holo map, showing the path to Saw's hideout. Anakin memorized it quickly before disembarking. Stepping out into the deluge, Anakin pulled his hood low. Using the Force to enhance his senses and maintain his footing on the slippery ground, he began the trek towards Saw's base. But a short while into the trek, the route became confusing, and he ended up needing R3's help again. Anakin tapped the comlink on his wrist, bringing up a small holographic projection from R3S6. The map flickered in the rain, but it was clear enough to guide him through the dense foliage. As he pressed on, Anakin's Force-enhanced senses picked up on the watchful eyes hidden in the jungle around him. He could feel the life signatures of sentient beings nearby, their presence a mix of caution and curiosity. Suddenly, several figures emerged from the undergrowth, blasters trained on him. Anakin slowly raised his arms, showing he meant no harm. The guards, a mix of humans and other species, quickly disarmed him, taking his blaster and patting him down for other weapons. They missed the lightsaber, cleverly concealed in its modified holster. One of the guards, a gruff Tholothian, grunted, "This way, no sudden moves." They led Anakin through a winding path, barely visible in the dense jungle. The rain had lessened to a steady drizzle, and Anakin could make out the outline of a structure ahead, seamlessly integrated into the natural landscape. As they approached, a hidden door slid open, revealing a surprisingly sophisticated interior. The group descended through several security checkpoints, each more stringent than the last. Finally, they arrived at a large chamber that seemed to serve as a command center. There, surrounded by holographic displays and communication equipment, stood Saw Gerrera. At 27 years old, Saw had aged beyond his years. His face was weathered, with a few scars visible. His eyes held a fierce intensity, burning with determination, and a hint of paranoia. He wore practical, battle-worn armor that bore the marks of recent conflicts. Saw turned to face the newcomer, a flicker of recognition crossing his face. So you're the one Organa sent. Let's hear what you have to say." Rick Drayson. The emphasis on the false name made it clear that Saw wasn't fully buying the cover story. This didn't surprise Anakin. Anakin stepped forward, his posture relaxed but alert. Really does sound fake, doesn't it? Anakin said. He reached up, pulling back his hood. It's me, Saw, Anakin Skywalker. Saw's eyes widened momentarily before narrowing with suspicion. His grip on the blaster tightened. Skywalker, the hero with no fear, back from the dead? His voice dripped with skepticism. How convenient, and how do I know this isn't some elaborate Imperial trap? Anakin held Saw's gaze. I understand your suspicion, Saw, but I'm here because I want the same thing you do, to fight the Emperor and bring down the Empire. Saw's laugh was harsh and bitter. Oh, is that all? And what exactly do you want from me, Skywalker? My resources? My people? I want to join your fight, Anakin replied firmly, to combine our strengths against a common enemy. Saw's eyes narrowed further. And how, pray tell, can you help us fight the Empire when the entire Jedi Order couldn't stand against it? What makes you think you can succeed where they failed? Anakin's jaw tightened. We were betrayed, Saw. The clone army we trusted turned against us in an instant. We never saw it coming. Never saw it coming? Saw's voice dripped with mockery. Isn't that rich? The mighty Jedi, with all their vaunted foresight and magic, couldn't even predict their own downfall? Some protectors of the galaxy you turned out to be. Anakin's fists clenched at his side. We made mistakes, though. We were blind to the threat right in front of us. But that's precisely why I'm here now, to learn from those mistakes and to do whatever it takes to make things right. Saw's eyes flashed with anger. Make things right? You think you can just waltz in here and make everything better? Where were you when my people were being slaughtered? When the Empire turned Onderon into a prison world? Anakin took a step forward, his voice low and intense. I was imprisoned, Saw. Experimented on. I've lost everything. Friends, family, my life. You're not the only one who suffered. Oh, spare me your sob story, Skywalker, Saw spat. You were the poster boy for the Republic, the golden child of the Jedi. You don't get to play the victim now. Anakin's eyes narrowed. You think I don't know what it's like to lose everything? To watch helplessly as everything you fought for crumbles around you? I've seen the darkness, Saw. I've stared into the abyss of the Empire's cruelty. Saw scoffed, his hand still hovering near his blaster. And what? Now you want redemption? A chance to play hero again? I want justice, Anakin growled, taking another step closer. The air seemed to crackle with tension. I want Palpatine's head on a pike. I want to tear down everything he's built, brick by brick, if I have to. Saw's eyebrows raised slightly, a glimmer of interest in his eyes. Big words, Skywalker, but words are cheap. What can you actually bring to the table? Knowledge, Saw. I know how Palpatine thinks, how he operates. I've seen the inner workings of his plans. And loyalty? Saw challenged. How do I know you won't turn on us the moment things get tough? Because I have nothing left to lose, Saw. The Empire took everything from me. My only purpose now is to make them pay. A tense silence fell over the room. Saw studied Anakin intently, weighing his words. Finally he spoke, his voice gruff but less hostile. Fine, you want to prove yourself? You'll get your chance. But know this, Skywalker. One hint of betrayal, one step out of line, and I'll put you down myself. Understood? Anakin nodded solemnly in response to Saw's warning. Saw held his gaze for a moment longer, then sighed. Look, Skywalker, Saw began, his tone still guarded but less hostile. I don't trust easily, but I know Bail Organa wouldn't have sent you here if he didn't believe in you. And he paused, a thoughtful expression crossing his face. You were Ahsoka's master. She helped us greatly during the Clone Wars, taught us how to fight, how to resist. Her strength, her dedication, I have to hope she learned those qualities from you. Is Ahsoka alive? We'll talk about her later, if that's okay. Saw's eyebrows raised at Anakin's evasive response, but he decided not to press the issue for now. He nodded, respecting Anakin's reluctance to discuss the topic. Anakin and Saw retreated to a more private area of the base, a small room filled with tactical displays and communication equipment. For the next few hours, they engaged in discussions about the state of the galaxy, Imperial tactics, and potential strategies for resistance. Despite their initial tension, a cautious respect began to form between the two men. Saw was intrigued by Anakin's tactical insights and first-hand knowledge of Imperial operations, while Anakin admired Saw's unwavering commitment to the cause and his ability to inspire loyalty in his followers. As their conversation wound down, Saw leaned back in his chair. Skywalker, he began, I can't deny that your insights have been valuable, but trust. Trust is something that needs to be earned over time. For now, I think it's best if we maintain some distance. I'll reach out through the same contacts when there's need of your particular skills. For a split second, a dark thought crossed Anakin's mind. He could easily use the Force to break into Saw's mind, compelling him to tell his followers that Anakin was their new leader. The temptation to take control, to accelerate their plans against the Empire, was almost overwhelming. But as quickly as the thought arose, Anakin dismissed it. Taking a deep breath, he pushed the impulse aside. "I understand, Saw," Anakin replied. "I know trust doesn't come easily, especially in times like these. I'm willing to prove myself, however long it takes." Saw nodded, a hint of approval in his eyes. "Good, we'll be in touch. Until then, keep your head down and your ears open. The Empire has eyes everywhere." As Anakin prepared to leave, he couldn't help but feel a mix of frustration and determination. The path ahead would be longer and more challenging than he'd hoped, but he was committed to seeing it through. The Empire would fall, one way or another, and he would play his part in bringing about its downfall. "One last thing, Skywalker," Saw called out as Anakin reached the door. "Remember, in this fight, there are no rules. The Empire won't hesitate to use any means necessary. Neither can we." Anakin paused, considering Saw's words. He turned back, meeting Saw's intense gaze. "I understand. We'll do what needs to be done." With that, Anakin left the base, his mind already racing with plans and possibilities. Anakin trudged through the dense Onderonian jungle, the humid night air clinging to his skin. As he put distance between himself and Saw's hidden base, the presence of the rebel fighters faded from his four senses. The sky had cleared after the earlier downpour, revealing 3 of Onderon's 4 moons hanging low on the horizon. Their silvery light filtered through the canopy, casting dappled shadows across the forest floor. The nocturnal ecosystem of Onderon came alive around him. Strange, warbling calls echoed through the trees, accompanied by the constant hum of insects. Bioluminescent creatures flitted about, some resembling fireflies, others more alien in appearance. Their soft glow created an almost ethereal atmosphere in the jungle. Anakin swatted absently at a small swarm of parasitic insects attempting to land on his exposed skin. His mind, however, was far from his immediate surroundings. He was deep in thought, contemplating the best way to utilize Saw's forces against the Empire. Saw's passion and determination were undeniable, but Anakin couldn't shake the feeling that the rebel leader's methods were too reckless, too uncoordinated to pose a real threat to the Empire's vast military machine. What they needed was better leadership, Anakin murmured to himself, pushing aside a low-hanging branch. He recognized the potential in Saw's group. With the right guidance, with a more strategic approach, they could become a formidable fighting force. But Saw's paranoia and tendency towards extremism could be as much a liability as an asset. Anakin's thoughts turned to his own role in this burgeoning rebellion. Could he provide that leadership? Should he? Part of him yearned to take control, to shape this resistance into a weapon capable of striking at the heart of the Empire. But as quickly as the thought arose, doubt crept in. Anakin's confident stride faltered, and he found himself leaning against a massive tree trunk, its rough bark cool against his palm. The weight of recent events pressed heavily on his conscience. "What right do I have to lead?" he whispered to the darkness. The fall of the Jedi Order played out in his mind, a montage of destruction and betrayal. He had been powerless to stop it, blind to the machinations that led to their downfall. The faces of his fallen comrades flashed before his eyes. Obi-Wan, Mace Windu, countless others he had trained and fought alongside. Anakin's fist clenched, his knuckles white with tension. "I failed them. We all failed." The admission tasted bitter on his tongue. If the entire Jedi Order, with all its wisdom and power, couldn't foresee the danger, what hope did he have of succeeding where they had failed? As these dark thoughts swirled in his mind, another memory surfaced, one that had shaped his destiny from the moment he first set foot in the Jedi Temple. The Chosen One prophecy. It had been a constant presence in his life, whispered in reverent tones by masters and Padawans alike. He could almost hear Master Yoda's voice, reciting the words that had been included in every Padawan's handbook. "In the time of greatest despair, a child shall be born who will destroy the Sith and bring balance to the Force." Anakin's brow furrowed as he contemplated the prophecy. For so long, it had been a source of both pride and immense pressure. But now, in the wake of the Jedi's fall and the rise of the Empire, what did it truly mean? Does it mean he will, in one way or the other, destroy Palpatine? Or was the prophecy misread? Anakin wondered. Anakin stood there, leaning against the massive tree trunk, his mind racing as he contemplated the full text of the Chosen One prophecy. The words echoed in his thoughts, each phrase taking on new meaning in light of recent events. In the time of greatest despair, he couldn't help but feel that this time had truly come. The Republic had fallen, the Jedi Order was in ruins, and the galaxy was suffocating under the Empire's iron grip. If there was ever a time of great despair, surely this was it. A child shall be born who will destroy the Sith and bring balance to the Force. Anakin furrowed his brow. He had been that child, hadn't he? Fathered by the midi-chlorians themselves, as the prophecy suggested. But he hadn't destroyed the Sith. If anything, his actions, or inactions, had allowed them to flourish. Anakin's mind lingered on the warning about the dark side acting like a cancer on the living force. He had seen firsthand the corruption and decay brought about by Palpatine's rule. The Empire was indeed a malignant growth, spreading its tendrils across the galaxy. As he pondered the prophecies, admonition against relying solely on a single savior, Anakin felt a mix of relief and renewed purpose. Perhaps the weight of being the chosen one wasn't meant to be borne alone. The responsibility lay not just with him, but with all who would stand against the darkness. Suddenly, Anakin straightened up. Whatever the prophecy truly meant, whatever his ultimate role might be, one thing was clear. Standing here, lost in thought and self-doubt, wasn't going to help anyone. Anakin pushed himself away from the tree, his expression hardening with renewed determination. He began walking back through the dense Onderonian jungle, his steps purposeful and steady. As he progressed, the thick vegetation gradually thinned out, giving way to a small clearing where his ship, the Imperial Dream, waited. He quickly boarded the YT-2400 freighter, efficiently running through the pre-flight checks. Within moments, the engines hummed to life, and the ship lifted off from the jungle floor. Anakin skillfully piloted the vessel through Onderon's atmosphere and into the blackness of space beyond. Once clear of the planet's gravity well, Anakin input the coordinates for Polis Massa. The stars stretched into lines as the ship jumped to hyperspace, leaving Onderon and its complications behind. During the journey, Anakin's mind raced with potential plans and strategies. However, he ultimately concluded that until Saw contacted him again, there wasn't much he could do for now. The waiting game would be frustrating, but necessary. R3-S6, the astromech droid, beeped a series of concerned tones. It suggested that Anakin looked tired and should rest. Anakin had to admit the droid was right. Exhaustion was beginning to set in after the intense events on Onderon. But instead of seeking out a proper bed, Anakin reclined the pilot's seat and settled into it, his eyes fixed on the swirling vortex of hyperspace visible through the cockpit viewport. The mesmerizing pattern soon lulled him into a trance-like state, and soon enough, sleep found him. Saw Gerrera lay dead, his body broken and twisted on the ground. Around him, countless corpses littered the area. Rebels, civilians, their faces blurred and distorted as if viewed through warped glass. Agonized screams pierced the silence, accompanied by the distinctive hum and crackle of lightsabers. Anakin's heart raced as he tried to make sense of the chaotic scene unfolding before him. Structures crumbled and smoke billowed from burning wreckage, all evidence of an unstoppable, devastating force. In the corner of his vision, two shadowy figures emerged. They wielded crimson lightsabers that cast an eerie red glow across the carnage, but their faces remained hidden in darkness. The figures moved with unnatural speed and precision, their very presence seeming to warp and destroy everything around them. As the shadowy assailants turned towards him, Anakin felt a surge of cold dread. The crimson blades hummed menacingly as they approached. Anakin jolted awake with a gasp, his body drenched in cold sweat. His eyes snapped open, heart pounding in his chest as he struggled to shake off the terrifying images. As his senses slowly returned to reality, he realized the ship had dropped out of hyperspace. Through the viewport, the asteroid field surrounding Polis Massa loomed ahead. And that is it for this video. But this story will continue through future videos. The next one in the series would most likely be, what if Anakin and Ahsoka joined the rebellion? Also, this video continued the story from these three previous stories, so check them out if you want to get a more detailed look at this timeline. But watching them is not necessary to keep up with the story, as I recapped all the key details at the beginning of this video. Also, I would like to thank all the Patreon supporters and channel members, and if you too want to support the channel for $1 or more a month and get early access to videos, check out my Patreon. Link should be in the description. Goodbye and have an awesome rest of the day, everyone.